Hey, for refusing to pay for the wedding I was disinvited from? My name is Madison, I'm 31, and I work as an operations manager for a mid-sized catering company in Raleigh, North Carolina, meaning I spend my days fixing disasters before guests ever know they happened. I live in a duplex with a kitchen table that doubles as my office, a rescue tabby named Pickles who cries loudly at 6:12 every morning like he pays rent, and a family group chat I should have muted years ago. The main person in this story is my younger sister, Brielle, who has been treated like she came with a halo and a warranty since the day she was born. I don't say that because I hated her. I didn't. For a long time, I loved her in that tired older sister way where you remember the kid who used to crawl into your bed during thunderstorms, even while the adult version of her is asking you to Venmo $900 for emergency signage. Brielle is 27, pretty in a soft, expensive-looking way even when she is wearing Target sweatpants, and very good at making people feel like helping her was their idea. Our mom, Janet, treated Brielle's engagement like the royal family had called with an opening. Our dad, Frank, handled conflict the way he handled expired milk. He looked at it, frowned, put it back, and hoped someone else dealt with it. Brielle got engaged to Eli on one Saturday in March. He proposed at the Rose Garden near NC State, and by Sunday my parents had turned brunch into a celebration. Mom booked a table at this place in Cary where every plate comes with microgreens whether you ask for them or not. She cried so loudly when Brielle held up her hand that the waitress brought extra napkins before she brought coffee. "Oh, honey," Mom said, grabbing Brielle's hand and tilting the ring toward the window. "It's perfect. Just perfect. Dad ordered mimosas for everyone. My baby girl," he said, and his voice got thick. "About time somebody made an honest woman out of you." "Dad," Brielle said, laughing, but she leaned into it. I was happy for her. I really was. Eli was quiet, polite, and a little stiff around our family, but he seemed to love her. He looked at her like he couldn't believe she had chosen him. At the time I thought that was sweet. Before the biscuits even hit the table, Brielle had her phone out showing us pictures. "I'm thinking vineyard but not stuffy," she said, swiping through images of string lights and long farm tables. "Like elegant barn, early fall, live acoustic music, maybe custom cocktails. I want it warm and romantic, not pageant. Why?" Mom clasped her hands. "You have such a vision." I smiled and asked the question I ask brides at work before anyone falls in love with champagne towers and imported peonies. "What kind of budget are you thinking?" Brielle's smile twitched. "I mean, we don't have a final number yet." Eli cleared his throat. "We're still figuring out what our families can help with." Mom waved a hand like money was a fly. "We'll make it happen." She's waited so long for her perfect day. Brielle was 27. She had not waited so long. She had waited a perfectly normal amount of time, but in our family, Brielle wanting something automatically became a hardship narrative. "It's just one day," Brielle said, touching Eli's arm. "But it's the day." I should have heard the warning siren right then. Instead, I took a sip of mimosa and told myself I was being practical because practical is what I do when everyone else is floating 6 feet above the invoice. The first call from Mom came 2 days later, at 8:43 p.m., while I was eating leftover stir-fry over the sink because Pickles had decided my kitchen chair belonged to him. "Madison," Mom said, in the voice she uses when she has already decided I am responsible for something. "We have a little situation." I closed my eyes. What kind of situation? The venue Brielle loves has one Saturday left in September. It's that vineyard place outside Raleigh, the one with the barn and the pond. They need a deposit within 48 hours or they release it. That sounds normal. Well, yes, but the deposit is higher than expected. How high? She hesitated just long enough for my stomach to tighten. 6,000. I put my fork down. "Mom, it's not the whole cost. It's just to hold the date. Brielle and Eli don't have it? They have some. But they're young. Eli's parents are contributing later, and your father and I are waiting on our tax refund. Then they need to pick a venue they can afford." The silence on the other end went sharp. "This is your sister's season," Mom said. "You know how these contracts work. You're the only one who can keep them from taking advantage of her." That was how she got me. Not by saying Brielle needed money, by making it sound like Brielle needed protection from the big bad event industry, And I was cruel if I didn't step in. I can look at the contract, I said. Mom exhaled like I had agreed to make a massive sacrifice. Thank you. I knew you'd understand. I said I'd look at it. Of course. Just look. By Thursday afternoon, I was standing at the vineyard venue with Brielle, Mom, and a venue manager named Marisol. The place was beautiful in the way expensive venues are beautiful. Gravel drive, white barn, rows of vines, polished concrete floors, and restrooms nicer than my first apartment. Brielle walked through it like she was already being photographed. Can you imagine the champagne tower right here? She said. Marisol smiled professionally. She was in her 40s, sleek bob, tablet in hand, the kind of vendor who could tell a drunk uncle to stop touching the dessert display without raising her voice. We sat at a farmhouse table under a chandelier made to look rustic but probably cost more than my car. Marisol explained the contract, date hold, payment schedule, cancellation windows, authorized contact, security deposit, insurance requirements. Just so we're clear, she said, sliding the paperwork forward. Whoever signs today is the authorized contact. Any changes, cancellations, payment authorizations, or transfers need to go through that person unless we amend the contract. Brielle rummaged dramatically through her purse. Oh my God. Mom looked at her. What? I forgot my checkbook. I stared at her. You were bringing a check? I thought I was. I switched purses. Mom pulled out her card. Marisol ran it at the small payment terminal. It declined. Mom's cheeks went red. That card has been acting strange. We can call Dad, I said. He's driving, Mom said too quickly. Brielle looked at me, eyes already shiny. Maddie, I'll pay you back. I swear. Eli's parents are sending money next month. And Mom said the tax refund would cover it soon. I haven't agreed. You're the only one who understands this stuff, Mom said softly. Please don't make this harder for her. So I signed. I put the deposit on my credit card. I told myself I was preserving the option, not funding the wedding. Marisol repeated. You'll receive the account confirmation by email, Madison. And I nodded like a person who was not about to become a human ATM with industry knowledge. That night, a receipt hit my inbox. Subject: Oak Hollow Vineyard, date hold confirmation. Authorized contact: Madison. Deposit paid $6,000. Non-refundable portion: $3,500. I flagged it, saved it, and made a folder called Brielle Wedding. At the time it was just organization. Later it became evidence. The second emergency was flowers. Brielle wanted dusty blue bridesmaid dresses, white roses, eucalyptus, and not baby's breath because that feels cheap. The florist required a $1,500 design retainer to start the full proposal and secure the date. Brielle called me from her car. Can you just cover it until Friday? Payroll got weird. Payroll did not get weird. Payroll is payroll. Maddie, ask Mom. Mom said to ask you because you know the vendor. And she said you'd rather I use someone reputable. I stared at my laptop screen, where I had 3 catering proposals open and one bride threatening to sue us because rain existed. I need this in writing, I said. I need everyone to understand this is reimbursement, not a gift. Obviously. Don't make this weird. I sent the payment. Then came the acoustic duo. Then the catering deposit. That one hurt the most because it was with a company I had worked with before, not mine, but people knew me. I negotiated the tasting fee down, helped choose the plated menu, and put down $4,200 to lock the date because Mom said Dad's bonus was coming any day now. Dad's bonus, as far as I could tell, existed in the same place as Bigfoot and affordable health insurance. I asked about reimbursement at a family dinner 2 weeks later. Dad was grilling burgers in their backyard, pretending the smoke required his full attention. Mom had set out potato salad and lemonade like we were all in a commercial for togetherness. So, I said, keeping my voice light, can we talk about a repayment plan for the deposits? Even small payments are fine. I just need something on the calendar before final invoices start coming. Mom's smile froze. Can we not do this while we're celebrating? Celebrating what? Brielle found her dress today, Mom said. I blinked. Today. Brielle looked down at her plate. It was last minute. I had been told the dress appointment was canceled because the boutique double-booked. Oh, I said. Mom touched Brielle's shoulder. She looked like an angel. I felt something small and hot open behind my ribs. I would have liked to be there. You're so busy with work, Maddie, Brielle said. We didn't want to bother you. You texted me 6 times yesterday about rush shipping fees for bridesmaid dresses. Dad flipped a burger too hard. Let's not start. I'm not starting. I'm asking why I wasn't included. Mom sighed. You can be a little intense about wedding details. Brielle needed a relaxed day. Brielle gave me a soft, wounded look. I just wanted to enjoy it without talking about deposits and timelines. That became the theme. Anytime I asked about money, I was ruining the excitement. Anytime I mentioned deadlines, I was being controlling. If I pointed out that adding a late-night espresso bar and past crab cakes increased the per-person cost by almost $20, Brielle said, "Not everything is a spreadsheet, Madison." She still wanted my spreadsheet, though. She wanted my vendor contacts, my contract notes, my ability to translate service fee into plain English, and my credit card when another urgent payment appeared. Then one evening she showed up at my duplex with a white gift bag. Pickles cried loudly at her from the hallway, because he considers guests a violation of his civil rights. He's so dramatic, Brielle said, stepping around him. He learned from the family. She handed me the bag. Inside was a vanilla candle and a card with gold lettering that said, "Will you be my maid of honor?" For a second, I forgot the dress appointment. I forgot the deposits. I forgot Mom saying, "This is your sister's season," every time Brielle wanted something. I opened the card. I need my big sister beside me. My throat tightened. Brie. She hugged me. Her perfume smelled like peonies and money she did not have. I know I've been stressed, she said, but I really do need you. I wanted to believe her. That was the embarrassing part. I was 31 years old, sitting at my own kitchen table, still waiting for my family to prove that being useful and being loved were not the same thing. So I kept helping. For a while things almost felt okay. I joined the bridesmaid group chat, which was named Wedding Bells with 3 champagne emojis. I answered questions about shoe colors. I found a cheaper rush shipping option for the dusty blue dresses after one bridesmaid ordered the wrong size. I reviewed the hotel block agreement and caught a clause that would have made Brielle responsible for unused rooms. At the tasting appointment, I sat between Mom and Brielle while a coordinator brought out tiny portions on white plates. Short rib with whipped potatoes. Lemon herb chicken, arugula salad with candied pecans, mini crab cakes, linen swatches in ivory, oatmeal, and something the rental company called mist. Brielle loved mist. Mom said it sounded romantic. It sounds damp, I said. Brielle laughed, and for a moment I thought we were fine. Then the catering coordinator asked about the final guest count, and I said, the current menu works at 110 guests. If you go up to 140, the budget changes significantly. Brielle's laugh disappeared. Mom set down her fork. Let her enjoy the tasting. She needs accurate numbers before signing off. Brielle pushed a piece of short rib around her plate. This is what I mean. You make everything feel like a work meeting. It is a vendor meeting. It's my wedding. I shut up because we were in public and because the coordinator looked like she wanted to crawl into the chafing dish. After that, I started getting left out again. I saw Instagram stories from a signage appointment I didn't know about. Custom wooden welcome sign. Escort cards. A huge acrylic board with white calligraphy. The ever after starts here. When I texted Brielle, she replied, "It was just a quick errand." The bridesmaid chat went quiet, then picked up in ways that made it clear there was another chat without me. Someone would say, like we discussed yesterday, and I would sit there staring at my phone trying not to feel 16. Mom began calling me only when something needed fixing. The rental company says the lounge furniture quote expired. The photographer needs the timeline. Brielle is upset because the welcome cocktails don't match the color palette. One Saturday, I stopped by my parents' house to drop off printed hotel block information. Dad was in the living room watching a football game from 3 years ago like it was breaking news. Mom and Brielle were at the kitchen island with a stack of envelopes. "Oh," Mom said when I walked in. "Hi." The envelopes were invitations. "You're addressing them?" Brielle's shoulders went tight. Just a few. I thought we were doing that tomorrow. Mom capped her pen. You had work. I got off at 2 p.m. Well, we didn't want to bother you. That phrase again. We didn't want to bother you. It sounded polite until you realized it meant, we wanted your money, not your presence. I put the hotel papers on the counter. I need to know if I'm actually maid of honor or just the person paying invoices. Brielle's eyes filled instantly. She could do that on command. I had seen her cry over a wrong Starbucks order and stop the second she got a refund. Why would you say that? She whispered. Mom's face hardened. Because your sister cannot stand not being the center of attention. Dad turned up the TV. I'm asking a fair question, I said. No, Mom said. You're keeping score. Because there is a score. It's in my bank account. Family doesn't invoice family. Vendors do. Brielle stood up, snatching a handful of envelopes. I knew you were going to make this about money. I almost laughed. Money was the only reason I kept being pulled back into it. But I didn't laugh. I went home, fed pickles, and opened my banking app with my stomach in knots. By then I had paid $6,000 to the venue, $1, $500 to the florist for $200 to catering, $850 to the acoustic duo, $700 toward rentals, and a handful of smaller things that looked harmless until they became a list: dress, rush, shipping, tasting fee, invitation, postage, signage, deposit, hotel block guarantee fee. The first real crack came on one Tuesday afternoon. I was at work fixing a staffing schedule when my cell rang from a number I recognized. The catering company handling Brielle's wedding. Hi, Madison, the coordinator said. Sorry to bother you. We just need the account holder's approval before we add the champagne tower and late-night espresso bar to the balance. I stopped typing. The what? The champagne tower and espresso bar. Brielle asked us to add them after yesterday's call. But since you're the authorized billing contact, we need your written approval. I wasn't on a call yesterday. A pause. Oh, the coordinator said, voice shifting into vendor neutral. I knew that voice. I used that voice when someone's divorced parents both tried to approve the seating chart. I may have misunderstood. The request came through from Brielle and Janet, but the contract requires approval from the account holder for billable changes. How much does it add? With service and glassware, approximately $2,760. I actually looked around my office like someone might jump out and tell me this was a training scenario. Do not add it, I said. Please send me the current balance and all pending change requests. Of course. And going forward, no billable changes without my written approval from my email address. Understood. When I hung up, my hands were cold. I opened the Brielle wedding folder. For the first time, I wasn't panicking. I was documenting. Every contract had my name on it. Venue, catering, florist, musician, rentals, my email, my signature, my credit card, my billing address, authorized contact, Madison. Brielle had the vision. Mom had the opinions. I had the liability. I made a new folder inside the first one and named it Brielle Wedding Receipts. Then I started dragging everything into it. Receipts, invoices, texts, Zelle confirmations, screenshots of Venmo requests, emails where Mom promised repayment after refunds clear, Eli saying his parents would circle back, Brielle saying, I'll send it Friday, promise. Friday had come and gone a lot. That night I called Brielle. She answered on speaker. I could hear road noise and Eli murmuring. Hey, she said, bright and fake. What's up? Did you ask catering to add a champagne tower and espresso bar? Silence. Oh, yeah, we were just exploring. You told them to add it. We were getting pricing. They called me for approval because I'm the account holder. Brielle sighed. Why do you sound like that? Like what? Like I did something wrong. You tried to add almost $3,000 to a contract I'm paying. You're not paying. You're fronting. There's a difference. Then reimburse me. Maddie, we've been over this. Money is tight right now. Then don't add champagne towers. Eli said something I couldn't hear. Brielle snapped away from the phone. I'm handling it. She then spoke to me again. You don't get it. This stuff matters. It affects the whole feel of the night. What affects the whole feel is whether the person signing the invoices knows what's being added. Her voice went lower, sharper. You always make everything ugly. I waited a second before answering. No, I make it accurate. She hung up. The next morning my inbox handed me the thing that changed everything. Marisol from Oak Hollow Vineyard forwarded me an updated venue balance. She was professional as always. Madison, please see attached current statement and outstanding milestones. As the authorized signer, you remain the sole approver for contract amendments and cancellation decisions, unless a transfer is completed in writing. Best, Marisol. Below her message was a thread she clearly had not meant to include. It started with Mom emailing Brielle. Janet, we need Madison to stay calm until catering clears. After that we can tell her she is not in the wedding party. I don't want a scene before the final vendor calls. Brielle, I know. She'll cry, but she'll get over it. Janet, your aunt already asked why Madison wasn't at the shower planning lunch. I told her Madison has been jealous and difficult. Brielle, good. That's basically true. She makes everything about costs. Janet, once the balances are paid, we can say her energy is too negative for the day. She won't actually cancel anything. She hates looking selfish. Brielle, she'll fold like she always does. I read it once. Then again. Then I got up and washed a coffee mug that was already clean because my body needed something to do. Pickles stood in the doorway and meowed loudly. Not now, I said, and my voice cracked. I thought I would explode. I thought I would call them, send screenshots, type something unforgivable in Henderson Crew, the family group chat where Mom sent Bible verses and Brielle sent links to $46 bridal hairpins. Instead, I sat back down and forwarded the email to my personal archive. Then I downloaded it as a PDF. Then I took screenshots. Then I backed them up. I deal with event disasters for a living. The first rule is to avoid panicking in the kitchen. Find the fire, cut the gas, document the damage. That afternoon I called Marisol. Hi Madison, she said. I was actually about to call you. I realized my earlier email may have included messages that were not intended for you. I cut her off. I saw them. A pause. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to discuss that. I just need to confirm my contractual rights. Her voice settled into firm professionalism. Of course. Can Brielle or Janet make changes without me? No. Not to the venue contract. Can they transfer the contract out of my name? Only with your written consent, the new signer's approval, and updated payment information. If I cancel, the cancellation terms apply based on the date we receive written notice. The initial date hold is partially non-refundable, as stated. Because your date is a September Saturday, we do have a wait list. If we rebook the date, some fees may be reduced, but I can't guarantee that until it happens. I understand. I can't speak to family arrangements, she said, careful and kind. But contractually, you are the authorized signer. There it was. The phrase that would later make my sister scream. I called every vendor after that. Not dramatically. Not with a revenge playlist. I used my work voice. To the florist, I'm not asking you to get involved in family issues. I just need the cancellation policy for the authorized account holder. To the musician, is the booking transferable, and if not, would any credit remain under my name? To catering, please send a current statement, pending changes, refund schedule, and who is authorized to approve add-ons. To rentals, can you confirm no additional items may be added without my written approval? Everyone understood. Vendors hear more family drama than bartenders and divorce attorneys combined. The good ones don't take sides. They follow contracts. By the end of the day, I knew exactly where I stood. I would not get all my money back. Not even close. The venue had a non-refundable portion. The florist kept the design retainer if canceled after proposal work began. The acoustic duo offered a partial credit in my name for a future event. Rentals were mostly refundable because final counts had not locked. Catering was my best shot because I had caught the window before the next payment milestone, and the coordinator knew me professionally. That night I drafted one email. I rewrote it 7 times so it did not sound like the inside of my chest. Subject: Wedding vendor contracts and reimbursement deadline. I sent it to Brielle, Mom, Dad, and Eli. Brielle, Mom, Dad, and Eli. As of today, I have paid $14,180 toward Brielle and Eli's wedding-related deposits and expenses. Attached are receipts, contract confirmations, and payment records. My understanding has always been that these payments were temporary advances, and that I would be reimbursed. I am no longer comfortable remaining financially responsible for contracts while being excluded from planning decisions, and while billable changes are being requested without my approval. By Friday at 5 p.m., the contracts currently under my name must either be transferred to Brielle, Eli, Janet, or Frank with updated payment information, or I must be reimbursed for the attached total and removed from all financial responsibility. If neither happens by the deadline, I will contact each vendor as the authorized account holder and remove myself financially according to the contract terms, including cancellation where necessary. I will not remain financially responsible for an event I am not welcome to attend or allowed to manage. Madison. I attached everything. Receipts, invoices, the catering change request, payment confirmations. I did not attach the forwarded email thread. Not yet. The family group chat exploded within 10 minutes. Mom. I cannot believe you would send a business email to your own family. Dad, Madison, come on. This is getting out of hand. Brielle. You are really going to destroy my wedding over money? Me. I'm asking to be reimbursed or removed from financial responsibility. Mom. After everything we've done as a family, you choose now to humiliate your sister? Me. What have you done as a family to repay the deposits? Dad. Don't add fuel to it. You know how your mother gets. Brielle. I always knew you were jealous. Everyone sees it now. I muted the chat for 1 hour, which felt like putting a screaming baby in another room, except the baby was 59 years old and typing in all caps. Then Eli texted me privately. Eli, are these numbers real? Me, yes. I sent him the venue receipt, catering deposit, and florist retainer. Eli, I thought your parents were handling that. Me, they were handling asking me. He did not answer for a long time. Then, your name is on the venue contract? Me, yes. And catering, florist, music, and rentals. Eli, Brielle said it was a family gift. Me, nobody told me that. The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared 3 times before he finally wrote, I need to talk to her. On Friday at 5 p.m., nobody had transferred a contract. Nobody had reimbursed me. 5:08 Mom called. I let it go to voicemail. 5:11 Dad called. Voicemail. At 5:13 Brielle sent, You are awful if you do this. At 5:15 Mom sent, We are having dinner Sunday. You will come and fix this. I stared at that message for a while. Not please come talk. Not we need to discuss repayment. You will come and fix this. I went because I wanted to say it once out loud. Not because I thought they would change. I had stopped expecting that, and the grief of it felt heavy but clean. We ate for maybe 4 minutes before Brielle put down her fork. I need to say something, she said. Mom reached over and squeezed her hand. Here it came. Brielle looked at me with wet eyes. After a lot of thought, I don't think it's healthy for you to be at the wedding. Dad stared at his plate. I said nothing. You've created a lot of stress, Brielle continued. And this season is supposed to be about love and support. I just need people around me who support my joy, not people who keep bringing up money. I nodded once. So I'm not invited. Her mouth trembled. I think that's best. Mom leaned forward. This is not a punishment. It's a boundary. I almost admired the audacity. They had taken my money, planned to exclude me, and now they were gift wrapping it as emotional wellness. Dad finally spoke. Madison, maybe give it some time. Let's not make permanent decisions at the table. She just made one, I said. Brielle wiped a tear. See? This is the tone I'm talking about. I opened the blue folder and slid the first page across the table. Okay. Mom blinked. What is that? The venue contract. Signed by me. I slid the next page. The catering agreement. Signed by me. Another. Florist retainer. Paid by me. Another. Acoustic duo. Rentals. Signage. Receipts. Payment confirmations. Brielle's face changed, not dramatically but enough. The tears stopped behaving. I looked at her. You don't want me there. Fine. But you don't get my wallet as a guest. Mom's voice went shrill. How dare you? No. How dare you plan to remove me after the catering balance cleared? The table went silent. Brielle stared at me. What? I took out the printed email thread and placed it on top. Mom's face went pale before she touched the paper. That told me everything. Eli picked it up first. His eyes moved across the page. His jaw tightened. Brielle, he said quietly. She snatched it from him. This is private. I laughed once. I couldn't help it. That's your defense? Mom recovered fast. Marisol had no right to send you that. She sent it by accident. You wrote it on purpose. Dad rubbed his forehead. Can everybody just calm down? No, I said. I'm done calming down so everyone else can keep lying. Brielle slapped the paper onto the table. You've always wanted to punish me. I wanted to be paid back. You wanted control. I wanted consent before my credit card became your wedding theme. Mom pointed at me. You are proving exactly why she doesn't want you there. Look at you. Threatening your own sister. I gave you until Friday at 5. That was not a real deadline, Mom snapped. It was in writing. Dad looked at me pleading. Madison, be the bigger person. That phrase landed differently this time. Usually it made me feel guilty. This time it sounded like a bill they had no intention of paying. I've been the bigger person, I said. You just kept finding bigger things for me to carry. Mom scoffed. You're bluffing. You won't cancel your sister's wedding. Brielle folded her arms. She won't. She just wants attention. I took out my phone. Eli sat up. Madison. I looked at him. You had the same deadline. He did not argue. I opened my email drafts. I had prepared them because I know myself. If I waited until I was shaking at a dining table, I might fold. So I had written clean, professional cancellation requests in advance, addressed to each vendor, referencing the exact contract sections. My thumb hovered for 1 second. Mom said, Don't you dare. I sent the first email to Marisol. Subject: Cancellation authorization Oak Hollow Vineyard contract. I sent the second to catering, the third to rentals, the fourth to the florist, the fifth to the acoustic duo. Nobody moved. Brielle whispered, You didn't. My phone buzzed before I could answer. Marisol. Madison. Confirming receipt of your cancellation authorization as the authorized signer. We will begin processing according to Section 6 of the agreement. Because this is a high-demand fall Saturday, we will contact the waitlist immediately and update you regarding any applicable adjustments. Best, Marisol. I turned the phone so they could see it. The venue just confirmed cancellation, I said. You should probably call your guests. Brielle made a sound I had never heard from her before. Not crying. Not yelling. Something between a gasp and a cough, like her body had rejected reality. Mom stood so fast her chair hit the wall. You selfish, hateful girl. Dad said, Janet. No, Frank. She needs to hear it. I stood too. My legs were steadier than I expected. I heard all of it, I said. For years. Brielle was scrolling her phone wildly. I'm calling them. I'm telling them you're not authorized. You can call, I said. They'll tell you I am. Eli's face was gray. Brielle, sit down. Don't tell me to sit down. He looked at her then, really looked, and I saw something shift. Not love disappearing all at once. More like a bill arriving for a party he thought was free. I gathered my folder, leaving copies on the table. Mom followed me to the front door. You will regret this, she said. I opened the door. The evening air smelled like wet leaves and charcoal from someone else's grill. No, I said. I'll pay for some of it. That's different. Brielle called me 23 times. Mom left voicemails that swung from sobbing to threatening to icy calm. Dad sent one text. Your mother is devastated. I replied, she should call the venue. He did not answer. Vendors did exactly what contracts said they would do. Oak Hollow released the date, and because September Saturdays at vineyard venues are basically gold bullion for engaged couples, a waitlisted couple grabbed it within a day. I still lost part of the deposit but less than I expected. The florist kept the design retainer. She sent a short email saying the proposal work and mock-up planning had already been completed, but she canceled all remaining floral orders and no further balance would be charged. The acoustic duo offered a partial credit under my name, valid for 18 months. Tessa later said we should use it for a not paying for your sister's wedding party. I told her that name needed work. Rentals refunded most of what I had paid because final quantities had not locked. Catering refunded part of the deposit, partly because of the cancellation window and partly, I think, because the coordinator knew I had not been the problem. She did not say that directly. Professionals rarely do. She just wrote, "We appreciate your clear communication throughout this process," which in vendor language means, "Your family is a total disaster," but you used complete sentences. In the end, I recovered enough to breathe. Not everything. Enough. Brielle's wedding did not vanish. That is not how real life works. People who want a wedding can still get married. What collapsed was the luxury version they had built on my credit limit. Eli's parents, after seeing the contracts, refused to bankroll a replacement. I heard that from Eli himself in a short, awkward call 3 days after the dinner. "I didn't know," he said. "I believe you didn't know all of it." That was the most generous sentence I had in me. He exhaled. "My parents are furious. They thought Janet and Frank were covering the venue. So did I, apparently. I'm sorry. Are you still marrying her?" He was quiet for a few seconds. "Yes." I looked out my kitchen window at the tiny strip of grass between my duplex and the neighbor's fence. Pickles was on the table licking condensation off my water glass like a criminal. "Then I hope you both get very honest with each other very quickly," I said. He gave a tired little laugh with no humor in it. "Yeah." The public part started because Mom could not help herself. It breaks my heart when people show their true colors during what should be a joyful season. Please pray for our family as we deal with cruelty, jealousy, and betrayal from someone we trusted. She didn't name me, but she didn't have to. Within 1 hour, an aunt texted me, "Honey, what happened? Your mother is beside herself." Then a cousin, "Did you really cancel Brielle's wedding?" Then someone from Mom's church who should not have had my number, "Praying for your heart." I posted one statement. For anyone hearing partial information about Brielle and Eli's wedding, I did not cancel anything I was not legally responsible for. Several major vendor contracts were signed under my name, paid through my accounts, and remained my financial responsibility. After repeated reimbursement requests and after being told I was no longer invited to the event, I gave the family a written deadline to reimburse me or transfer the contracts. That did not happen. I am attaching documentation showing the contracts, payment confirmations, and reimbursement request. I will not discuss this further, but I won't allow a false story to stand. My aunt texted, "I had no idea it was in your name." "I'm sorry." A cousin wrote, "That is ridiculous. Why would they let you pay all that?" One of Mom's church friends deleted her prayer comment. Mom called me within 10 minutes. I did not answer. She texted, "Take that down right now." I replied, "No." She wrote, "You are humiliating this family." I wrote, "You tried to humiliate me first." I brought receipts. That was the last message I sent in Henderson Crew before muting it indefinitely. The scaled-down wedding happened 6 weeks later at the Wake County Courthouse on a Friday morning. I know because relatives sent pictures, not because I asked. Brielle wore a simple white dress that was pretty but not the designer gown from the boutique. Eli wore a navy suit. They looked married, which was the point, though I am not sure either of them remembered that at first. The reception was in my parents' backyard. Folding chairs. Grocery store flowers in mason jars. Costco sheet cake. Dad grilled chicken under a pop-up tent while pretending not to notice everyone whispering. Mom wore a pale blue dress and a smile so tight it looked stapled on. For a couple of weeks, silence felt strange. My phone was too quiet. No urgent Venmo requests. No Mom calling about linen upgrades. No Brielle asking me to just glance at a $3,000 invoice like it was a brunch menu. I kept reaching for my phone at lunch expecting chaos. Tessa noticed. She also said something I hated because it was true. You keep calling it peace because calling it exploitation would hurt too much. After the refunds came through, She showed up at my duplex with takeout tacos and a travel website already open on her phone. "You need to leave town," she said. "I have work." "You have PTO." "I have a cat." Pickles has never respected your authority anyway. Pickles, sitting on the back of the couch, meowed loudly in agreement. We booked a weekend in Asheville. Nothing fancy. 2 nights at a small inn, 1 winery visit that made us both laugh because vineyard no longer felt like a neutral word, and a Saturday morning breakfast where I ate pancakes without checking the family chat once. On the drive back, my phone buzzed with a text from Dad. "Your mom misses you." I stared at it for a while. Then I typed, "Mom misses access to me. That's not the same thing." I deleted it. Then I typed, "I'm not discussing this unless the first words are an apology and a repayment plan." I sent that one. He never replied. I did not get every dollar back. I had to tighten my budget for a while, cancel a few things, and take extra shifts managing weekend events. The florist retainer still stings if I think about it too long, so I try not to. That money bought me information I apparently needed. I changed my credit card number. I stopped answering calls that begin with guilt instead of hello. I made a rule that I do not pay deposits for anyone whose name is not on the contract, and I do not sign contracts for anyone who thinks gratitude is optional. Sometimes I miss the idea of my family more than the actual people. That is the part nobody warns you about. Boundaries do not always feel like empowerment at first. Sometimes they feel like sitting alone at your kitchen table on a quiet night, listening to your cat knock a pen onto the floor, realizing no one is coming to ask you for anything because no one knows what to do with you when you are not useful. But the quiet got easier. One Monday morning, Pickles cried loudly at 6:12 on the dot. I opened my eyes, reached for my phone, and for the first time in years, I did not check the family group chat before getting out of bed. I fed the cat. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table that still doubles as my office and opened my work email to a minor emergency about a bride wanting to change soup service to salad service 3 days before her wedding. That kind of problem I can handle. My family wanted me close enough to pay, quiet enough to exclude, and guilty enough to keep funding the fantasy. They counted on me folding because I had always folded before. This time I let the contract speak for me. And for the first time in years, silence didn't feel like punishment. It felt like rent I stopped paying on a house I never lived in. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.